bring up, wanted to make sure everything's working. There we go. Share screen. Share screen, and then share screen 2. I'll do that. So, nope, it didn't come up. Here it is. Let me get this out of the way.
It's going to. There you go.
Okay, so can you see the whole screen? Does it look good on the the screen?
Yes.
So these were our submissions. Okay, 2 of them, these last 2 were from Dick. I'm not sure what he had in mind, because as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty perfect.
Yeah.
There really isn't much to do. I mean, I was hoping he was going to get on and I was going to say, oh, you know, maybe we should come here and just fix up this little spot right here. You know.
I remember this picture.
Yeah.
I do too.
Me too.
Right. And so
I think he submitted it for a competition.
Yes.
Yeah. So does anybody have any comments? I mean, would anybody make any changes on this? Or I think it's perfect.
And too, outside of what you did, I mean, I could see doing what you just did, Pete. Other than that, I think it looks great.
And I could probably do a better job fixing it up if he was here.
Yeah, yeah.
And then here's
Okay, Peter, wait. I
Yeah.
have a dumb question because I am not a Photoshop person.
Yeah.
What tool did you just use to fix that?
Oh, that is the spot remover tool.
Yeah.
You know, so if there was a spot on the thing, you would just click
Okay.
on it.
As soon as you said that, I knew I got something I can do with that. It's not
Right.
that.
Yeah.
They have a similar thing in On One.
Yeah, and a similar thing in Paint Shop. I still
Oh, the
revert to
healing.
that more than anything.
Paint Shop is too much of a pain in the butt to me.
So but I
On
can't think of
One is
anything-
much easier.
I can't think of anything I would do to this photograph. And like I say, I think he was going to just talk about him. And here's his second photograph. You know, he's got a little line over here. And I guess I would, you know, try to get out that line. I'm not sure whether that's just because of the way he sent it. Right? That's the same tool. That's the spot remover tool that I'm just dragging. But other than that, it's a stunning image. It was great when he entered it, and it's great now. So, anybody have any comments about it? No,
I like it.
I like it too. Right. So
Nice background.
we'll go back over here to library module, and we'll look at. Jack had these 2 pictures, this one and this one. And his question was, how do I put this moon in this photo? Well, you really need layers to do it. And so there's no great way to do it in Lightroom. So you really need to select both of these images, right? Right click on them and then say edit in Photoshop. And this shouldn't take too long to do. So that should take both of the photographs. Here they are. Okay, so there are little tabs up here at the top. See, there's the first photograph. Here's the second photograph. So what I need to do is cut out this moon. And if we just make it a little bigger, right? So we can see what we're working on. And there's lots of different ways that you could select this thing. You know, you could even use the little magic wand tool and just select the whole background, right? So if you do that and you hit the delete key, it turns the whole thing to white, right? And then if I invert it and I make my selection for the moon, the first thing I would do though is I would make a selection and I would feather it just a little bit so that the edge isn't too harsh. And then I would just take the move tool. I have to, in Photoshop, when you have only one layer, it's a locked layer. It's a background. It's just so that you can't Yeah, you can't alter the layer unless you convert it to a normal layer. Once I've converted it to a normal layer, now I can take the move tool, I can take this moon, and I can move it right into my next image, and I can drop it. Well, that didn't work, did it? So, let me see.
Why don't just cut and paste?
It's
Well,
it's a pain. Peter, you need to create a second layer,
Yeah, let me see.
second background layer.
Let me just delete these layers here. And we'll just go back to this one here. And we'll
Undo all of that.
select, invert, and we'll delete that. Oops, don't do that. Now we'll go back. All right, it just did it backwards. So we'll invert it again. Now we'll delete it. There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Get rid of the selection. Deselect it. Now we'll move it over. And when we drop it, I don't know why I've got this little guy right here. Let me just erase him.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Let's just erase that.
It's the same principle as what I was trying to explain with fireworks. I move fireworks in and out of.
So here we've got the guy. He's on a separate layer. We can move him anywhere we want him. Because he's on a separate layer, we can do the free transform. If we want to, we can make him a little bigger and then move it back over here. Double click on the layer and there he is. And now he's on a layer in front. And so that's basically how you do it. And there's lots of ways you could cut it out and do it. And then I would just take and I would combine these two layers. I'd merge them, flatten them. Get rid of this layer here. Don't save it because we don't want to screw up the moon. Save this layer and go back to Lightroom. And here it is. Right. And, you know, we might do some things to this image. We might darken it down a little bit, right? We might use a graduated filter and kind of darken the sky a little bit more at the top. Anybody else have any comments? Anybody think we should do anything to this image?
That's great.
Yeah. Jack, are you there?
Yeah, how do you make it look a little more realistic other than just show me
I
how
was
to?
thinking that too, Jack. I wasn't going to say it, but it doesn't quite look like a
Is there
balloon.
anything else I can do with that? I mean,
What you mean? You want the moon to look more realistic?
yeah, you know, it's actually, I took that moon, well, first I took the landscape. This is in Yosemite, by the way, and it was starting to get dark and I noticed the moon was over there. I took a shot so I could get the landscape, but it wasn't very good quality. Probably my ISO was really high. See all those streaks in the sky there. But then I changed my exposure so I could get the moon to show up. But I must have warmed it up or something. It just doesn't look realistic, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what I do with moons is I turn it black and white.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I don't know if that'll work for this image though, will it?
Well, the orange moons do not show up well. I mean, they're great moons. If you really wanted to make an orange moon look cool, I mean, if you turn it to black and white, now you're going to have to brighten it up a little bit using some sort of either more white or highlights or exposure to get it brighter. But with the orange moons like this, make it big.
Oh, yeah.
And we
Make that sucker big and put it down like it's just not coming up over the top of the mountains.
see, and if you want to
And
just
then erase the part around the mountains.
see, you can just take away some of that.
Sure. If you'll notice in the first image, the moon was even smaller than you've got it there. You could tell, but you just see
Right.
that bright light there. That's
Yeah.
actually where the moon was.
Yeah, I mean, if we want, we could make it fill up the whole frame and put it behind the mountain, if that was.
That's what I'm trying to say. Do that. I mean, you're the only way you're going to get rid of what you're going to do if you try to make the moon the same size as what is in the mountain picture now with the bright white one, is you're going to get this halo around the moon, whether you want that or not. If there were some clouds in the sky, yeah, that halo would look cool.
Mhm.
If not, you're going to have to make it bigger than the white moon to cover up not only the moon, but the halo.
Yeah, and in order to do that, we would take both of these images back into Photoshop, and we would darken this whole image, because this image is not that realistic. This image really needs to be, it would be a lot darker, because the whole thing is kind of overexposed, because it's kind of
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
night. So are we saying we want to do that?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, try it.
Let's do it again then. Let's take both of them, edit them in Photoshop. All right. Let me just,
Can you do something first, Peter?
what?
Before you do all that, crop that moon. Crop it smaller.
Why
Or
would
you
I
can
crop
do that. You can do it that way too.
So we just, as a different way, we just do a little circle around it. We'll just kind of feather the selection. And then again,
When you say feather, was there a
What is
number
it?
or something that you use to decide how much feathering you do, or?
yeah, well, you know what I mean by feather though, Jack?
Well, I'm assuming it means not make it look quite so rigid, a little softer to sort of blend into the scenery. I don't know.
Yeah, the feather, we've made a selection around it, okay?
Yeah.
And so it's a perfect sharp thing. And if I just cut it out that way, it'll be like like cut it out with a pair of scissors. So if we feather it just a little more, then the edge isn't quite so crisp and it looks a little more realistic,
Right.
right?
But there wasn't any number to select. You just select feather and.
No, there was.
It's
If you
just
go
feather by
modify
one.
and you go to feather, here it is, feather. I can
So
put
that's-
as much as I want in there. If I put,
So that was a number one though, right there.
I put
It's one
100 in there.
pixel.
See
It's just
the
one pixel.
1 pixel feather.
see the selection right there. If I go down and I show you what the selection is, see, it's almost selecting the whole moon because I've feathered it to 100 pixels, right? So this is going to be in sharp focus, and the rest of it's going to be all feathered, and that's way too much. So I usually just modify it and
By
set
1
that
pixel?
number. Yeah, I usually just do 1 or 2. We could even do 2.
Okay.
Something. Just to let me get rid of the selection first. Select, deselect, and we'll put that back over there. Oops. I keep forgetting you hold down the shift key to make it a perfect circle while you're drawing the circle. So then I'm going to feather it, modify it, feather, and I got 2 pixels, and I'm going to do that. Now, again, the layer's locked, so I can't delete it. I'm going to just double click on it to unlock it, right? And if I hit the delete key now, it will delete the moon. So if I invert it, when I hit the delete key, it deletes the rest of the image. And then if I take the select key and deselect it, so now I've just got the moon there, and then I'll just take the move tool, right? And we'll put it here in this image, and there it is. Okay. Now, if we want to put it behind if we want to make it bigger, we go here and take the edit, free transform. We can make the moon as big as we want, right?
Big moon.
That's a big moon. So in order to put it behind this image, okay, I'll hide it there for a second. We would have to make another copy. Okay, now we got 2 copies of the same thing, and then select the whole sky, right? Something like that. And I've selected a little bit too much here, so I'm going to just bring up, there's a couple ways to do this. So one of the ways is we're going to come here and we're going to paint on the mask. See, I just kind of turned it into a painting thing. So rather than use selection tools, I'll do this. And to erase it, I'm just going to erase this part that we have with the moon right here. Turn it back into a selection. And let's see, we'll just hit the delete key here. So nothing happened because I got this other layer behind it. Now we've got this sky mostly gone, right? I'll deselect it. And then we'll take the moon layer. And when we take the moon and move it, right, it's on top of it because the layer is on top of it. But if I move the layer down between the two, then the layer is here. And if I show the layer underneath it, it still has the sky on. There's the sky, right? And if we want to make the moon look a little more realistic, if we, let's see, if we maybe put a glow on it. Let's see, so where's the glow? Inner glow, inner glow.
There's an outer glow toward the bottom.
There it is, outer glow. So we'll put an outer glow on it and maybe spread it out a little bit. Say okay.
Got a halo.
And then if we think it's too bright, we can just lower the opacity down a little bit. Make it look a little more realistic. As realistic as that can be. All right. And then we do the same thing if we wanted to change the sky. If we wanted to put stars in the sky or something like that, we could take it into Luminar and put a starry sky in there or something, right? And if we wanted the background here to look a little more reasonable, we could, let me see what's that. That's the thing. We might just darken it down a little bit. Set levels. Darken the image down a little bit. It's hard because that sky is still so dark, right? And I think that glow is a little much.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of some of that glow. Where's the little guy right here? Opacity. Oh, I'm on the, I gotta go back on the glow thing. There it is. Let's just lower that. Glow down. And we probably want to feather it a little bit. Let me see, maybe put some noise in there. Set the opacity down. Just a little bit, there, like that.
Peter, is there anything you can do instead of the sky looking kind of a little bit of bluish? Is there a way to make it look more black or dark, like night?
Yeah. We can take this background layer, which is this layer right here, okay, and do the same thing. We might just take it and take the levels and just kind of darken it down.
Yeah, that's far more realistic.
Yeah. So it's not great, but let's see, let's take this thing here.
It's really interesting.
We even got a little bit of that, like it's Venus or something rising on the thing. And if we didn't like it, and because we're still in the layers, if we don't like the moon, if we think it's too big, we can just go back and transform it, make it smaller. And if we think it's too intense, we can lower the opacity a little bit.
and that other moon shows through.
Well, then if we need to, we can clone the other one if we want to get rid of that. We can just go, let's get rid of these.
You know, to me, you know what it looks like to me is when you added that gradient to the top,
Uh-huh.
it lightened the top of the sky. When
Yes.
in reality, around the moon, it's going to be a little bit lighter, but the very top's going to be darker.
True.
So it's like we probably shouldn't have put that gradient on there before we did anything, but
Yeah.
that's something to think about later on, to darken the entire sky.
Right. Right. If it was mine, I would go into Luminar and change the whole sky, because the sky to me doesn't have any interest in it. So, you know, I might come in here with this image. Let me see here. This image right here, and go into Luminar. And hopefully it'll start in a minute. I know. It's been hanging up on me ever since I downloaded the new Photoshop.
Yeah, I don't know if I having problems with Lightroom going into my plugins. And I generally, what I've been doing is I've been using it in Photoshop, but since with the new upgrade, all my plugins don't work very well or they take a long time to process in Photoshop.
Let me just get rid of the Luminar, because it's not loading. But anyway, I would use Luminar. We could try it one more time. Let me see if it'll load this time. Filter, Luminar. There we go. So I just come through here and change the sky. Pick a sky, like a galaxy sky.
Whoa.
Little
That
much.
won't look good with a full moon, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. Let's see.
It is kind of cool though.
Yes, it is.
Without
Starry,
the
starry sky.
Comment.
It looks like the only skies they have in here are just our night sky, our kind of galaxy. So there really isn't one that is appropriate for here. I was hoping I just had stars.
Now you could take the moon and put it in that right hand side where it was bright over there.
We could do this one and then just darken this down,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, that's nice.
Just come in here and set the sky exposure. Oh, that's the temperature, sky exposure. Set it down. Something like that. Maybe set the relight the scene. And something like that. So without getting too carried away. I would look for a starry sky and put it in there if I had one, but I don't.
I have several. If anybody needs any, I can send them to you.
So, did it?
So Luminar doesn't offer like a darker, blacker sky either.
No, they want you to buy it.
They want you to buy it, but I have several that you can have. I will email them to you. That have stars, that have galaxies, that have planets. And that what I do is I just import them and I do the sky replacement in Luminar, but I import my own
Yeah.
sky. And then I use the sky that, now there's some adjustments that you have to make on your overall picture, because if you use your own, it kind of overlays part of it over the top of some of the other areas. So you have to go through there and kind of erase some areas. Yeah, Luminar actually does away with all that, but it doesn't quite work too well if you have really dark skies.
Yeah, I'm just gonna save this one we got here, and then here we are. Let's see here. Save. Yes. Save. Hopefully it'll put it back in the Lightroom. Luminar just locked up my whole thing, so I know.
More RAM, more processor.
More processor.
No,
I got.
it's the new Photoshop is, I don't know what's going on with the new Photoshop, but it hooks into my GPU and it slows it way down.
Yeah. So let me see if I can find it here, because it didn't save it here. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know where it is offhand. It saved it to some. It saved it.
It saves it in the Luminar folder.
Lost in cyberspace.
Let's see, file,
Lost on the hard drive.
save as. It put it in my COVID blog photos.
Boy,
What?
So,
What does that mean, Peter?
Black photo.
yeah,
That means during COVID, we have nothing to do. We were chatting about that earlier today. We spend most of our time editing pictures and doing creative stuff for creative category.
Must be nice.
yeah, really.
So Peter, is there one more thing I could ask you to do?
Yeah.
You still have that image somewhere?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it in a second here if I can, because I put it in the wrong place. So I just want to put it where we can get to it. Under my I'm trying to figure out where the other folder is.
You can always put it under Jack.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I did with them. Oh, here's where I put them. I put them under the, oh God. All right, Flash newsletter. And August website. Save. There we go. What did you want, Jack?
That final images you came up with, I was wondering if you can crop it sort of panoramic so that the moon is a little higher up on the image. It doesn't have to be photo image size, but just, you know,
Yeah, crop out that.
crop the
peak part
top,
at the
in other words, crop the top so that
Okay.
the mountain and the moon is a little higher in the image, what that might look like.
Even crop like this?
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of like the trees there too, framing it. But
Just make it panorama, go all the way across, but just
yeah,
narrow
exactly.
it down.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Like that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even bring it down a little bit. Yeah, or bring it all the way down at the bottom. I just want to see what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
there we
better.
go.
Nice?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like that better. Thank you.
Yeah, and then, we might just darken the top like you were saying. Make it look a little more realistic there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that.
Uh-huh.
Kind of a sci-fi thing, but it gives you the idea anyway of how to do it.
Thank you for doing that, Peter.
Yeah, close
That's okay.
tonight.
That's all right. All right, let's see what else we got here. We've got, where are the rest of the pictures? I seem to have gotten lost here.
That's her problem, not yours, right?
I keep sitting here trying to help you with my mouse, and my mouse don't work on a shared screen.
Here they are. Okay. All right. So let's take this next one, right? And whose picture is this?
Neil, that's mine.
And do you have any, you want to just talk about it? You want us to
Well, I
fix it?
just wondered somehow, it seemed like part of it, of course, it is very light statue. It seems slightly exposed in some parts, the lower parts there at the privy. It just seemed a little too bright and too hot, I guess you could say.
Okay.
In
Let's
the,
see.
I would say the
Looks
central
like
part.
his hair down in the lower left there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
At least that's the way it's showing on my computer screen. It looks better on the phone, actually.
The first thing I might do is I might straighten it.
Yeah.
Anybody agree? Straighten it's better?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you kind of that little corner, the thing on the very left of another building that I didn't realize was there.
And so where's the other end you're talking about?
When I look at it on my computer, on my desktop,
Yeah.
the section immediately above the water.
This right here?
Yeah, that area seems extremely hot.
Yeah. Well, you can use, do you use Lightroom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it now, but yeah.
Neil, do you use Lightroom?
No.
No. There's lots of different ways to do this. You can do a targeted adjustment, like right there, right? So that I'm not affecting the whole picture.
Right.
Maybe bring down the exposure a little bit. Maybe bring down the highlights in that area a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe set up the clarity a little bit so that it's not quite so hot right there in that area,
Yeah.
right? That
Okay.
kind of do it.
Right. Yeah. That improves it. Yes.
And so, I mean, we could do that with the whole picture too, where we might just hit the auto and then just kind of bring down the highlights a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Sharpen the picture a little bit, right? Maybe set the texture a little bit,
Better.
right? Maybe come in with a little
What does that texture thing do there, Peter?
the texture.
Yeah, what is it?
The texture thing, I mean, it's that because you've got the three things for setting sharpness. The texture, if I push it all the way over to the left, look what it did to the water.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it does fine detail. It does just what it says. It takes the texture
Okay.
of
Yeah,
anything. Like look at,
increase the contrast as well.
well, they all increase the contrast. That's basically what a sharpening is, right?
I suppose, yeah.
And so this one does the fine detail. This one here does the medium detail. And then this one here does the gross details, the really big areas. That's the dehaze.
Yeah.
So I use the dehaze kind of gingerly, but this kind of brings out the texture in it a little bit and the clarity. And so it just kind of made the whole thing pop a little bit.
Right.
I also think it's a perfect shot for doing black and white,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mm.
In which case, there's a little trick over here. If you hold down the Alt key when you move these sliders, when you move the black, this is what's going to be totally black. Okay, in other words, 100% black. So if I move the slider over till I just start to see black or in areas that I don't really care about, see how that sharp punched it up? And then if I take the whites and I do the same thing, these areas are completely blown out. Okay, so that gave it a little bit of punch. And then the shadows is kind of more like a gray area. If I slide that over, I kind of get rid of, see if I go all the way over, I get all rid of the shadows. And then the same thing with the highlights. I can reduce those. And I've got a really nice, punchy kind of image.
Mm. I can't do it. I could do it.
Any comments? Anybody?
My only comment is one of the things, the three sliders, the texture, the detail, and the dehaze.
Yeah.
I think of them as three different things. Texture, I think of water. With water, it brings out the detail in water, especially if you have splashing water like this is.
Well, that's not true, John. I mean, you use it for bricks, you use it for grass.
I understand. Hey, just give
Right.
me a second. Let me get there.
Hair.
Okay? But I think of the different things as I look at the clarity as the details of a building. It sharpens up the details of the building. Now, texture, if it's a brick building, yes, it will improve the texture of the brick. It improves the texture of the wood in a wood building. But dehaze, I only use it on mountains. I don't use it on anything else.
Well, it has its place.
It does, but I mean, it's kind of like if you take the shadow slider and you slide it too far to the right, okay, then you really got to add some more contrast to cover up what you just did, to try to improve it, because it lightens it up too much. It brings out too many light grays.
Yeah. So one of the things I might do on this image is I might just make a little selection around this guy right here in the middle, and I might just brighten him up a little bit. Maybe set his contrast a little bit, maybe set a little bit more clarity so he kind of pops. Maybe a little too much. And that way he kind of stands out. And the other guy I really like is this one right here, where I might just do a little targeted thing here and just kind of brighten that guy up a little bit. Set the contrast in the middle, just to kind of pop that out. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, if you go back to, here's the original image. And this is what we did with it.
It looks a little overall dark to
A
me.
little dark? Okay.
Yeah, I just like it. The whole
So
thing.
let's
Right,
just
just a little, not a lot, but some.
tell me when to stop.
Okay, yeah. And that may have gone too far. I'm not sure.
Okay. How about that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Like that. And if you think that the dark areas are too dark, we can lighten them up a little bit by doing the shadows.
No, I don't think the dark areas are too dark. I think they provide a nice contrast to the bright areas.
I also am a big proponent of using the graduated filter in Lightroom, so I might darken up the whole bottom of the image like that, again, to draw the attention right into the center part of it.
Yeah.
So again, this is what we did to it. There's the original, and there's this image.
So a minute ago, when you were going back and forth between the image and just the lights and the darks, you were moving the slider and you were clicking something else. What was that?
I was holding the Alt key down.
The Alt key.
If you hold the Alt key when you do this, when you do the, especially the blacks and the whites and the shadows, it changes it to that, like this. Okay. And then so what it's showing you is that that's completely 100% black. And if I go, and some areas are acceptable, I think, to be 100% black, just especially with black and white to give it a little bit of a punch.
Okay, thanks.
So,
yeah,
anybody else?
You can use that Alt key on the sharpening detail function as well. If you go down and you do the sharpening mask, if you have something in a sky and you have a lot of grain in your sky and you're doing a detail sharpening, go down and hold the Alt key and slide the mask slider. And you can do the edges, and you can see the edges on whatever you're going to sharpen. If you go down to masking and hold down the Alt key on the masking one. Now, what you're doing is you're hiding all the stuff you don't really want to sharpen, but you're showing all the stuff that you want to sharpen.
Well, I mean, I do
You're
this.
sharpening the edges. I use it a lot in skies.
Yeah, I use it a lot on figures, hard figures like this, because I don't want to sharpen the whole image. I've already done
Right.
that. All I want to do is do another crisp image, crisp outline around it. And so the sharpening kind of does that, right? So.
Yeah.
It's already pretty sharp to begin with, so.
It is pretty sharp image anyway. Really just
Yeah, great shot, Neil.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
have a question, Peter.
Yes, sir.
When you bring in an image like this, do you ever just click on auto just to see what it'll look like? And if so, have you found that auto just never gets it for you, and that's why you got to do all this other stuff?
I almost always click on auto. I didn't do it this time, but usually I click on auto first.
Just
And
to see.
it has done, with the new upgrades to Lightroom, it's done a 100% better job than it used to. It was totally useless before. And now I think it gets you there.
Uh-huh.
But, for me, I'm usually looking for my images to be a little crisper. And so I still have to wind up playing with the sliders.
Yeah.
But that sort of gives you a starting point, and then you can kind of tweak it the way you like it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, is this, whose is this image?
That's mine again.
That's yours again?
Yeah.
So,
Again, it's, a lot of that with the light color of the buildings, it just seems so bright. Of course, it is a cell phone taking the picture, but
so would we crop this? I mean, I might crop it down
yeah. Ah, okay.
just to get rid of some of the sky,
Yeah.
right? And again, like Jack says, if you just hit auto, it kind of brightened it up. But if we do that same thing with the sliders here, we come here and we move the slider till we just start to see some blacks. It already has a lot of whites in it, so we can temper that. Right? Hit the clarity a little bit to kind of give it a little bit of a punch. And let's see what we did to it. That was the original image. Any comments?
Looks
That
better.
was very helpful. Thank you.
Looks
Yeah.
better, sharper.
I might even pull that highlight all the way back down like that, since they're so bright. But I think that with the cropping and it's a little bit of an improvement on it.
What about some clouds? That help it?
We could put some clouds in it. If my Luminar was working right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it locked up the thing. So, all right. So let's move on. Here we go. Is this yours, Trish?
Yeah.
And you have any comments about this one?
Well, no, not really, other than I just kind of grabbed whatever I could find quickly last night because it was so late. I find a lot of the shadows difficult for me. I don't know if you can do anything with that. It's very grainy because I was working in very low light. As you can see, even a low shutter speed. I just don't feel like it has any real punch to it.
Okay, let's try to do the same thing. We'll hit the auto like Jack suggested. That kind of brought it all back to medium. And then we can take the blacks and do that same little trick. And again, these areas that you're seeing turn totally black, I don't mind them being total black. I don't mind them losing all of them. You gave it a little bit more of a punch. I don't care if that little F-hole, excuse the language, turned all black. And then the same thing with the whites. I'll move the white slider over a little bit. And then move the shadows and maybe the highlights over a little bit. And then take the clarity slider, slide it over a little bit. I might just crop a little bit off of the top and a little bit off of the side. And Now, if it was mine, I would also want to fix this hand, which is a
Yeah, I
little
was just gonna say that
overexposed.
it's definitely burnt out on the hand there. It's just,
So I would do that again. This kind of you know I forget what they call this thing, where you a targeted adjustment, right? So I might just darken it a little bit, and I might just set the highlights down a little bit. Maybe set the texture up a little bit. Nope, that's not doing it. Maybe the clarity up a little bit. Maybe the dehaze a little bit. I mean, it's not perfect. Let's see what it looks like. That was before,
it's a whole lot better. I
and
think.
that's after. And then you can actually take this thing here, you put all the work into it, and you can duplicate it, and then move it over to this hand. Kind of change the
Dimensions there.
style from it. Maybe make it a little less exposure. Give a little less exposure to it. All right. And if we wanted to, we could maybe brighten up his face a little bit.
Sure.
Draw another little box around there. A little contrast, a little clarity. And now, this is what we started with. This is what we got. Kind of a subtle change, but
Yeah, but pretty obvious, particularly on the hand, because the hand was just washed out.
mhm.
That's really cool. Hey, everybody, I've got to go. I'm on call for work, so I've got to run. So y'all have a great evening and have a good weekend.
Okay.
Eric.
Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Take care.
You too, Eric.
So Peter, the little circle that you have up there, see, I don't have Lightroom, but what is that where you can highlight the face or something and?
It's just it's a targeted adjustment,
Oh, radio
right.
filter. Okay.
right?
Just
I mean, you
wondering
know,
if Photoshop has that. It probably does.
it does. It does. It's just, I find that I can do almost everything in Lightroom unless I want to change the sky out or make the moon bigger. I can do most of the edits that I need right here and get a pretty good looking image. So anybody else have any comments on this? Any changes?
I think that's better.
Better?
I like.
Okay. Here's another one. Trish, any comments on this one?
It's flat in some areas and burning hot in others. I mean, it's a mess.
Okay.
Good action shot.
You know, that
So-
one right side is blown out. The other part is just kind of flat.
Uh-huh. So I might I'd do the same thing. I'd hit the auto button like Jack suggests, right? And then come through and set my blacks. Set some whites. That's already blowing out right there. Do the shadows. Move this slider way back here,
But you do want some white in it.
right? And we could do the same thing to his little arm right here.
Well, no, you're actually, yeah, you probably would detect the white stuff.
Right? Maybe to his shoulder
I
over
don't
here.
remember if there's a distinct white that we get. I don't remember. I would have to look.
And then
So
maybe
Trish,
keep
you
him-
are using a tripod, right?
On this, no, on this I'm not.
it really needs quite a bit of sharpening.
Yeah,
I was gonna say you got 1/15 of a second. It's hard to handhold
right,
something
right.
like that.
So another thing I think could really improve this image here is maybe by doing let me see here. If we put a little vignette on it, we'll give it a heavy vignette.
Oh,
and
yeah, that's much better.
feather it, kind of call attention to this guy.
Right.
And then maybe we can come in here into his face. Let me make him bigger. And do that same thing where we just kind of target his face specifically and reduce some of the shadows to get some more detail in there, right? Maybe make it a little brighter. and then maybe set some clarity to sharpen his beard and stuff. Maybe quite a bit. To get rid of some more of the shadows. Oops. Let me set this. Oh, I keep forgetting I'm not in Photoshop. Control 0. Oh. I can't get back to, where's my screen here? Oh, I see. It's because I got it hidden up here. Fit. There we go. Sorry about that.
All right.
So I might lighten it up a little bit too, I think. I think it got a little too dark. And so I usually just use the up arrows to kind of brighten them up a little bit. And so this was before and after.
Yeah, that's a whole lot better.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a vast difference.
Maybe that right shoulder needs a little work.
Okay, question, Peter.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking that when you hit auto, it changed the exposure just slightly. And then I just now noticed you changing it a little bit more. Do you do that normally at the end of your process after you fiddle with everything else, or?
You mean hit auto again?
No, not hit it again, but just use the slider and say, could I change the exposure a little lighter or darker? Or
Yeah, because when you're playing with the contrast, it tends to darken the image.
Yeah.
Right. And so I find that at the end of the whole process, I need to go back to the exposure and usually brighten it up. And so in Lightroom, instead of doing the slider like this, I find that if I just click on the number and I use my down keys, I can control it a little bit better to get it to just where I want it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Pete. Thanks.
It's okay. So here's an image that I think is pretty easy to fix if they want fixing. Whose image is this? Oh, it's
Mine.
Tammy. And do you have a comment about it, Tammy?
Other than it was a rainstorm that was actually coming in, but the clouds didn't show up at all. So I decided to add the little star in the middle for the sun. But I don't know what else really it could use.
Well, if I was doing it, the first thing I would do is crop it. Okay. I think there's too much sky, too much other stuff. And then this is where the dehaze comes in 100%. If you hit the dehaze button, look at that. It just brings that thing totally out. And if we got this spot over here that we want to get rid of, we just take the spot removal tool and it just gets rid of it. Right? Maybe these are too much. So the other thing I would then like to do is just make the whole,
Light a little brighter.
what do you call it? The whole flag. I'd like to make them a little brighter. And I can do that by just setting the exposure up on them a little bit, setting some contrast, setting the whites up a little bit, and then our old friend, the clarity slider, will just give some. So we started with that, and we can do this. Comments? Anybody?
I think it looks great.
That little dehaze slider is great for the sky.
That the haze works great with that. I might also, looking at it, I might just darken these bushes. little bit like that. And then looking at this guy here, I still might want to brighten him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe straighten it.
Maybe straighten it.
Yeah, straighten that pole.
Straighten the flagpole, yeah. There you go.
Now, good.
Mm-hmm. Maybe take,
Definitely.
maybe take the graduated filter, add a little more interest to this. Not really working, is it? Let's delete that. We'll delete that. So, okay, there we were.
Cool.
Anybody else? No?
Yeah.
Okay. So, whose image is this?
Fine.
That's LJ's, I think.
And LJ, you have any comment about it?
I was just curious how you would edit it, because I'm not very good at editing yet.
Okay. So the first thing we want to do is straighten it. So if we go down to transform and we hit auto align, look, it just perks the building right up. The next thing I think is there's too much street in the way. So I would crop the image, say to about there. Maybe bring in this corner just a little bit to get rid of that little guy right there, right? And I think that's an improvement right there.
Yes.
And if we come and we hit the auto, this is what it gives us for it. So we can use that same trick where we go in with the blacks, pick up the blacks, do the whites. Well, we know the sky's overexposed. Do the shadows, set some clarity in there to make those bricks pop, maybe a little texture to make it pop even more, right? One of my comments would be this tree is now too dark, so I would do that same thing with the little targeted adjustment. I'm just going to brighten it up a little bit, right? And maybe give it a little clarity, give it a little pop. So what do you think of that, LJ?
I think it looks a lot better than it did before.
And anybody else?
What would you do with the sky? It seems like it's very
There's
bright.
nothing to do with the sky except replace it.
Yeah, it's kind of a featureless sky.
And if we want, I mean, I can try to take it into Luminar again and see if it works.
Yeah, that's it was. We took these at, I think it was getting close to sunset.
Yeah, this was right
Yeah,
before
the sun's on the left side.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
LJ, you know what I think would fix this and not have to worry about the sky? Is if we just
Black and white.
turned it into black and white. You got it, the heat, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think we can exaggerate everything just a little bit. We can go a little overboard on everything. And so we started with this and we ended with this. Maybe a little too sharp.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah,
tad.
I was thinking that too.
Just a tad.
The stone bricks or whatever they are popped us a little bit too much.
Yeah.
No, too much. Okay.
Hey, Peter,
A little
Yes.
distracting.
what if you were to, is there any way to make the flags still in their color, like a muted color?
Oh,
You mean take the flag and
All the flags down at the bottom and have them like a muted
red
muted
light.
color?
well, let's see. Since I've already done this image, let me just take and I'll make a virtual copy that makes 2 copies. Okay, so I have 2 copies of the same thing, and then let me take this image here, take it back from into color, and then we'll take both of these images here and we'll put them into Photoshop. And so now we should get the two images. So we have, let's get rid of Jack's there. So now we have these two images. If I take this image and I put it on top of it by moving it over, and if you hold down the Shift key, when you drag it over here and you put it on top of this, Shift will keep it exactly in the right position. So now we have the two layers, right? And if I then just come up here for the flag, right? I mean, we could do, let me see. We could just cut out around this thing. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to draw a selection around this flag. And if it was mine, I would do a better and quicker job. I mean, a better job. But I think this will give us an idea.
What can be done? Yeah.
Okay. So now I've got the selection. If I hit the delete key, it's going to delete that from this layer. Right? And so now what we're doing is we're seeing the flag underneath. Right? So I would go through for each one of the flags and do exactly that same thing.
Neat.
Right?
Cool.
So I guess that's how they do these things, where there's just one thing that's yellow and the rest is black and white, or
Right.
red,
Right.
like a red
Exactly.
umbrella, black and white.
And there are tons of ways to select all this and to do it. Even I thought if we had more time and it was my image, I would make this image bigger, taller, and I would take one of these flags, maybe this one, and I'd put it on top of the flagpole and make it taller. I would stretch it, you know, and so.
Nice canvas bigger so you can put.
Let's see. So select, deselect. Wouldn't it be great if my Luminar worked and we could put a sky in there?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do that one. Let's just try it. Since I paid all the $45 for it.
I was going to say, I could open my image and I could show you the sky I put in on my image of that building.
Let's see here. We'll just pick a nice sky.
Pick a sunset.
A sunset?
Yeah, because this was taken at sunset.
Oh,
Too much?
But it's actually more over to the left. But
well, we can move it over once we find a sky we like. What do we think of that one?
That's nice.
Yeah. Like it.
that's nice. I like it.
That adds considerably.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see if it'll apply.
That really makes the color one pop.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we kind of relight, where is it? Relight the scene.
the color.
Right. And yeah, not bad. So let me just apply it, save it. There, it did it.
Yeah.
So if I put the black and white on top of it, I can take the black and white layer and I can reduce the opacity of it. And that kind of muted the whole thing. Although I kind of like it now without the black and white layer.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think of that?
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Get rid of the black and white layer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's just delete it. All right, so this one, I'm not going to save it. And this one here, we'll save it back. Yes. And Come on. Oh, it's under here.
There
There it is. Any comments?
Looks great.
Great.
Yeah, great improvement.
That's
Again,
That one looks the best.
Again, I would darken this bottom part here. It's a little too bright. I'm just using a graduated filter on it, just so it's not so bright. It doesn't take away from the whole building. Yeah.
And can we remove the those orange cones by the front door?
We could take it back into Photoshop. You don't think they add to it?
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm just asking.
Well, neither does the COVID sign on the door either. So
It's realism. It's realism.
I mean, we could take it back into Photoshop and erase it if it was.
the whole building was closed off. So
So
Where was this building?
this is the Hondo. This is
County Courthouse?
county courthouse in Hondo.
okay, well, it's getting late, so let's
Yeah.
we'll move on to the next one. This is Steve's image.
Yes.
You have any comments about it, Steve?
Well, I submitted this one before I knew you were going to, be doing creative changes and stuff like that. But I submitted it just because I thought that Cardinal was cool with his red, saturated red like that. It's probably a little underexposed, which helps the saturation. But any suggestions on how to improve this one?
Well, if it was mine, I would crop it.
Get rid of some of that fancy.
Portrait is what I would.
Right.
Then he starts to get a little fuzzy.
And then I would do that same trick where I took well, first of all, let me see if I can figure out where this is up here. Why don't I would, first of all, just take one of these little guys right here and put it right over his face. And then I would take the texture slider up and take the clarity slider up a little bit, right? And maybe just brighten it up a little bit with the shadows. And I might do the same thing to his stomach. Where I might brighten it up a little bit and hit the texture slider, which is perfect for those feathers.
Yeah, okay, I certainly see that.
So this is what he looked like before. This is now, he might be a little dark. So
you mean after the changes, he looks a little dark?
You think so?
Well, I thought was that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think he's a little dark?
Let's try brighten him a little bit and see what happens.
Okay, I'll go back and hit this targeted thing here and I'll make the exposure come up.
Yeah. It shows off his pectoralis. A little bit better.
So
yeah.
That's the original and that's this one.
I think I like that.
And then I would probably still do my same trick where I just did a little graduated filter here to take some of the, maybe I'd do it a couple times.
Yeah, it's really
Well, it
orange.
obviously
Yeah,
works.
the sun's shining on it. It's really orange.
When
You know?
all these photos.
I'm going to have to go, guys. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks.
Bye,
Okay.
Patrick.
Night.
Bye, Patrick.
Right. And maybe brighten up the whole image a little bit,
What happened there?
like that.
Yes.
Comments, anybody?
what was the original?
Here's the original.
Well, the original wasn't cropped. That's one
I
thing.
can't see it.
Wait, let me go.
Yeah.
Here's the original, and here's the new one.
Yeah.
It definitely pops more.
You can certainly see more detail in his breast feathers there.
That's what that texture slider is good for.
One more picture.
Yes, there is no adjustable.
Yeah, and it brought out the grains in the wood too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and one more, we have this one, which is, geez, almost a perfect photo,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
right?
Thank you.
Steve, you have any comments about it?
No, just it's milkweed, milkweed seeds pouring out of a seed pod there. Just happened to catch my eye as I was out there in the flower garden.
That's why you get those monarchs, Steve.
That's where I get the what?
That's why you get monarchs in your yard, because you have milkweed.
Yes. Yeah, we get tons of them.
Mhm.
Yes, because of the milkweed.
So, anybody, any comments about this one?
I love it.
Sure what it needs.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think it needs anything.
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
That's the last image.
Well, thank you, everybody.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
Cool.
stop sharing my screen.
Okay, you guys ready to try to do a door prize?
Sure.
Sure.
And the odds got better now that everybody left.
I can always use another door.
All right, everybody, the thing of it is to pick a number between 1 and 50 and sit and, Price is Right rules. So whoever's closest to the number that Susie is thinking of wins.
Oh, do I?
Chat, or do we
Yeah,
just?
do it. Send me a number in chat.
Okay. let me
I'll
find
send
it.
a number in chat. From what's the range?
1 to 50.
1 to
1 to
50.
50.
No, you can use the mouse. It works much better.
1 to 50 and send it to
Oh, I sent mine to everybody,
Send it to me,
sorry.
John.
John Kane.
John Kane, host.
Mine got sent to everybody, sorry about that.
Well, yeah, just it's going to go to me and it's going to go to Peters. It doesn't matter.
17.
Yeah.
No, key doesn't work. Use. Yeah,
What is yours?
that's
From
fine.
70. Oh, what was the
Everybody
range?
Let's see. 1
I
to
thought you
50.
said-
It's between 1 and 50?
1 to 50.
Yeah.
So isn't
Oh, Steve, you need to
75
get a new number.
a little
Yeah.
lower?
Sorry, I thought it was 1/100. I don't know what I
50.
meant.
Mhm.
Not
How about that?
Yeah, we did 1 to 100 last time. It was just way too many numbers. Okay, is everybody in? Let's see. There's Robert's, Trish's, Neil's, LJ's, Jack's. With Neil in here now. Neil's in here twice.
Yeah,
You don't get to win twice, Neil.
I'm in there.
Then there's Ken and Tammy. Ken and Tammy going to send me 2 numbers or just 1 number?
3 numbers. There's 2 putts.
She can
We're
shoot
both
I-
here.
I put one for Ken and one for me.
All I
And
see
the one
is
that wins is gonna
Tammy.
be yours, right, Tammy?
I'm sorry?
So the one that wins will be your number, right?
Yes. You don't see the one that says Ken?
Oh, I see. I do now. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be
let's
mine
see.
anyways, Trish.
And that's not my number. That's got to be Peter's number. What's my number going to be? 42. Okay, let's see. We'll start off at the top. Robert, he guessed 37. Trish guessed 17. Neil guessed 39 twice. LJ guessed 25. Jack guessed 8. Tammy guessed 13. Steve guessed 34. Ken guessed 50. And John number 1 guessed 26, and John number 2 said 42. So there you go. LJ wins.
What was the number?
Yeah,
What,
LJ.
what does
33.
LJ win?
33.
33 was the number.
What does LJ win?
Well, congratulations, LJ.
$25.
Woo!
All
right. All right, Jay.
Spending money.
Sounds like lunch money.
Sounds
Amazon money
it
or-
sounds like grandpa money. Sounds like grandpa money.
Yeah. Or book money. One of the two. It's probably got.
You want to do another one?
Sure.
Between 50 and 100.
Okay.
100.
Okay.
Uh, 66. Hold on, that one. There. Put me at 84.
I forgot where I left off. Let's see. I'm getting to, this ain't working well.
You know what Tammy goes through.
Is everybody in?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start. Oh, what's mine? Is 50 to 100?
Yes.
62. Okay. Ken guessed 84. Tammy guessed 69. Robert said 81. Trish said 61. Neil said 72. Steve said 82. I don't see anything from LJ.
I thought it was 1 to 50 again.
No, 50 to 100.
Yeah, I misheard y'all. I sent mine in.
Guess.
75.
Okay, he said 75. Jack, you send one?
I did. 25.
He said
So it has
45.
to be 50 to 100.
50 to 100.
I was like LJ. I thought we were going to do the same thing again. So
We'll do it again.
do it again.
Yeah, 50 to 100. Do me
50
none.
to
Do another
100.
one.
Okay.
No, he said 75, so he tied with LJ. I won. Ooh, I won. Good.
What was
God.
the number?
It's 63, and I said 62.
Family affair.
Should have been mine.
It's a
I know
family
Trish
affair.
said 61,
That should have been mine.
and I didn't look at the numbers when I guessed mine. So okay. So me and LJ win. LJ, we're gonna take a trip to Camera Exchange next week.
All right.
No, I want to go to